Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for coming. Let's see. The hour is a little bit odd. We start here in the U.S. At 4 p.m. So on Friday here in the U.S. So most people, except for Sarah, would have to go to work, and Apple. and but there's some announcements first. In April, I plan to go to Korea for around 3-4 weeks, around that time, so that I can spend some time with our disciples, our friends, our supporters, and therefore it's a light program. We will do no cheese or anything, just regular activities, such as daily activities and weekends. We speak Dharma, have the regular weekend programs, or maybe go to other temples and if we're invited and so forth. So a very light schedule. So that's, but it's time now for me to go because we need to reconnect with you and make sure that I can be there in person and answer your questions or talk to you in person. So that's important to me. So those of you who can make it or would like to, say, get away on the weekend, because for people in Asia it's pretty close, a few hours of flight, and you can fly over, say, a weekend and stay at a temple for the weekend. That is assuming that the Koreans would not quarantine you at all. Okay, hopefully by April, late April or so, maybe they do away with all the quarantining of the foreign visitors. Okay, anyway, so that's the general plan right now. So I thought I would make the announcement for you to plan in advance if you're interested. But I definitely will go to Korea around April, early May. And I have to come back by mid-May or so, before mid-May, so that we can have the summer cheese here in San Francisco. It's going to be a tight schedule for us because we are going through remodeling in San Francisco. We hope to do a tea there in San Francisco, because in the summer, San Francisco is very pretty, very cool. Whereas in Southern California, LA is pretty hot, very hot. And so that's why we thought we'd do a summer tea here in San Francisco and see what happens. And then for the year-end cheese, we will do 5 weeks, 4 weeks of chi, and 1 week of Fo chi, and 4 weeks of Chan chi in San Francisco, and then followed by 1 week of Fo chi and 4 weeks of Chan chi in Los Angeles. And so we have a total of this year of about 12 weeks, right? 1 week of Fo chi and 5 weeks of Chan chi. Okay, so a total of 5 weeks of cheese. This year-end cheese. So we increase by 1 week. Okay, we split it in 2 different locations. However, in general, I will also plan to go to Korea during the cheese, so that we can do. I can be in Korea for a short while during the cheese as well. Okay. So we coordinate that, and I need to prepare to buy some winter clothes. I heard that's pretty cold in Korea at the end of the year. All right, so that's the general plans. But we still open for discussions and for your input, if you will. Okay. So the cultivation is lighter when I'm there in this spring in Korea, but but I hope to see as many of you as possible in person. All right? That's the purpose of it. Any questions or comments? Okay, if not now, feel free to make comments or make suggestions later. Okay. Furthermore, yeah. Yes, go ahead. Black.
Hello, Master. I want to thank you, Master, for sending Venerable Xianshun came to Golden Forest to help us to take a long seat. I had been stuck around 2 hours for my sitting. And
What? You sounded very unhappy with her in the last I talked to you.
No. Oh, yeah. It's a long story. I know. It's a long story. I really thank you. Thank Venerable Xianshun to help me to went through that. And I really don't remember what happened during my sitting, and except.
Oh, we're used to it. People yell at us all the time.
Okay, one thing, Master was here. I asked for a permission from Master to unbuckle, and I saw the smiling face from Master, and I know, I asked for help from wrong person. So I just ignored the Master and back to keep fighting with my leg pain. So if I said something implied, I want to say sorry.
Okay.
And I really hope Venerable Xianshun can come here regularly to help us.
Okay.
And other thing I want to see during my sitting, Venerable Xianshun told to me I'm a princess and my life goes too well and I need more pain and I complain too much. I didn't feel hurt, but it's a little bit shocked because I have never thought myself in that way. But I know she knows me very well. So I think her word after I back to home. So I think she's right. And I need chance to be a better person, take a long seat. So I feel, maybe next time when I take a long seat, I should remember what she said to me, not a Master's smiling face. That will help me to sit longer. So really, thank you, Master and Venerable Xianshun.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you for the feedback. That helps us. It turns out that we have a lot of different people, many people, different skill sets. We have lots of classes, so we're very pleased that you can join us in these classes. And they have different levels, different languages, and we have specialists like Xianshun who will, maybe in the future, maybe something that we can do where we can ship her around by boat and all over, so that like put her on a cruise or something and then stop at various parts of the world, and if we need to give her some incentives to go, you see. So yes, absolutely, it would help. It's fun. In general, I think it is, to me personally, give me great pleasure to be able to do this with you, because it's very rare to be able to find a group of people who are really, really intrigued and really interested in doing this. And this is what we hope to be able to do, to share with you the beauty of the wisdom of the sages, of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And they're very beneficial to us personally. And we hope that by sharing them with you and studying more of their wisdoms with you, we can all improve. We can all improve our lives and become better people and do more with our lives for the world. Okay? So this is fun. This is really a privilege and honor for me personally. So in general, that's I might say, allow me to be a little bit bolder and tell you this is the second phase of our work, of our journey, where we now focus on studies or sharing and practicing. In particular, these talks here, instead of me giving you a lot of nonsense and talking about nonsense, I would like to have the chance to, now we have better support and more resources to study together the words of wisdom, the teachings of the sages. So for example, we're very lucky to have some Weiyang materials. So I can't wait to delve into Master Wei Shan's teachings, the anecdotes he has with them. They're in Chinese, and we're very grateful for the help in the translation. It helps me tremendously. Like my Chinese is not that good. I'm specialized in Chan characters, Chinese characters, but I don't understand anything else. So it helps to have the rough translation. And actually, translation in general is very, very high quality. Your level is pretty impressive. And so we do that. So in particular, on days like today, we will maybe study the Weiyang sages, or those great sages. We start, I can't wait to start with Master Wei Shan, follow with Master Yang Shan, so that we can understand more about our tradition, our heritage, and make sure that those great wisdoms are studied and made available to others who have more wisdom than us, and for whether it's your generation or future generations. So to me, it would be kind of fun. For me, I learn a lot from studying this. Okay, so we do that, and because it's in Chinese, and this is for Asians, so maybe will help us, maybe Asians, especially Chinese people understand Chinese, will help us understand these things as well, okay, these Chinese teachings as well. And then for tomorrow, then maybe we go into like, I don't know, maybe Song and Enlightenment, where you go back to study the classics, Chan classics, Song and Enlightenment. Master Shena explained it. I will explain it a little bit from an American perspective. Master Shenhua is great in providing the foundation from a Asian perspective. He's very Chinese, more Americanized. So that's why it's great to be able to reinterpret or re-study, re-investigate these these classic teachings, to add to our treasury of a Chan treasury in English. Okay, we need to increase, augment that treasury for everyone, for ourselves as well for the future. Sounds good? So that's the plan for next day. Okay, so first day is in Chinese wisdom. Next day would be we go to the Song Enlightenment. Okay, that's Saturday here in California time, in the morning, Chan class, discussion. And then on Sundays, this is a plan as well, Sunday as well, I notice, I'm beginning to realize that quite a few people stick around and are crazy about the Dharma. They seem to be so intrigued and interested, fascinated, if you will, by the Dharma, by Mahayana Dharma, whether it's Chan, whether it's Pure Land, whatever, Mahayana in general. They're so intrigued. There's so many people so intrigued that it finally dawned on me that these people, quite a few of them, are from the Pure Land. Okay, and that's why when you go to the Pure Land, that's all you do. You study the Buddha Dharma day and night. Even the birds when they sing, people, the residents there hear the bird songs, the bird song as the Buddha Dharma. Okay, even the bells in the trees, when the wind blows, the bells in the trees make noise and makes music. The residents also hear it as the Buddha Dharma. You see, because the residents in the Pure Land are so used to listening to the Dharma all day, all night. So that's why these people are sent from the Pure Land back here temporarily. Okay. And one of the characteristics I told you is number one, you can tell, recognize some of them like, they don't care for money, okay? And they're doing well, they're not they're not beggars like us, but they're okay, but they never care for money. They don't care for money. And they are good people, they're good-hearted, they're very kind, compassionate. Okay, that's part of another characteristic of these people. And they're very kind, compassionate, you can tell. And then number three is that they love to hear the Dharma. They love to study the Dharma. They love to practice the Dharma. So I thought on Sundays, on our Pure Land Dharma Assembly days, instead of me telling you nonsense, speaking nonsense, why don't we start with, and I know it's not fair to my disciples, Chinese disciples in particular. Why don't we study the Chinese Pure Land patriarchs and teachings? That's much better use of our time. And that way, when these people, after they come back from here, they return to the Pure Land, they put in good words for Amitabha Buddha, and say, Master YongHua did not waste our time. Sounds good? Huh? So it's a little bit of personal advantage, benefits for me as well. Huh? So we start on Sundays with going, of course, we always open for discussion. Some of you are afflicted about the war right now is going on and whatever, you bring it up. Or a Chinese woman who's chained by, her mountain slave or slavery person. We can discuss anything you like, but in general, the theme is that's augment this Mahayana wisdom, Mahayana treasury that the Chinese have, and to transfer it into English to make it available to more people, and maybe help some of the Chinese to appreciate their incredible culture, their incredible heritage. Sounds good? Okay, so that's the plan. So that means that, more translation, please. I think Ray started by one patriarch or something. We have, I think we have like 14 Pure Land patriarchs, known patriarchs. The 15th, I strongly believe, is Master YongHua. Okay, he's the only qualified, the only monk who's qualified to be a patriarch at Pure Land, because you probably don't realize it. The Pure Land patriarchs have very high standards, much higher than Chan, in my humble opinion. The Chan is easy to be Chan patriarch. Most, some of the Chan patriarchs, and I don't mean to offend you, like Master Xu Yun, is basically a office holder. He really didn't do much. He didn't contribute much to a Chan school, Chinese Chan school. So he just held the office for Master YongHua to come around and pass it on for him to go to bring it to the U.S., to the West. So that's Xu Yun's role. So his contribution to Chan is pretty, to me, insignificant. Okay, so Chan's patriarch is not that hard. It's not, we have a lot of them. And there are a lot of non-patriarchs who are actually carrying the burden and doing the work. But in the Pure Land, these patriarchs are like, you look at Master YongHua, he understands Pure Land thoroughly, and his teaching at Pure Land is so profound, very, very high level. So you look at the, Master YongHua's teachings, Master Yin Wang's teaching. Yin Wang is, 13th patriarch? I don't remember. And he's basically great strength bodhisattva. So in the future, we look into his teachings as well. He has a collection of his teachings that should be transferred into English, okay? And so we should do that. And then, so to me, some of the Pure Land patriarchs I found to be extremely advanced. They understand Chan very well as well. So that's why, in my opinion, the Pure Land patriarchs are very, very high level. On average, much higher level than Chan. That's why it's quite worthwhile. Thank you. Oh, that helps. Worthwhile for us to get acquainted with these patriarchs, and then and investigate more of their teachings. Sounds good? Because unless you're going to become this lifetime, I hope, it's my personal hope, that you will commit to going to the Pure Land. Okay? That's very important. You don't make it, you don't become a fourth stage Arhat or higher, you better go to the Pure Land. Don't take any chances with your life and your future. Questions, comments? All right, so more materials, please, for Sunday. We have a lot of materials for tonight. We have the song enlightenment slides ready, and so we have quite a bit of materials to go on the first 2 nights of the weekend, and then we still need more material for Pure Land materials, translations, if you will. Okay. What you have 2 days? That's plenty of time, huh? All right. Questions? Go ahead.
질문 드려도 되겠습니까? 영화 마스터 하시기를 두 다리 사이에 생각을 칼칼칼 흘려 영화 마스터께서 말씀하시기를 생각을 두 다리 사이에서 흘려보내라 이렇게 말씀하셨거든요. 그래서 그 말은 이해를 하겠습니다. 근데 그 생각을 두 다리 사이로 콸콸콸 흘려보내라 라고 말씀하셨거든요. 그건 이해를 하겠는데요. 망념을 어떻게 하면 안 일으킬 수 있는지 그걸 알고 싶다고 좀 질문해 주세요. 네.
Sorry, Master, the Wi-Fi was pretty bad, so I'll do my best. This gentleman says, Master, you said something about putting your thoughts between your legs and then just think a lot, like think the thoughts will flow. He said he will understand that part, but he has a problem with how to control his false thoughts.
I missed the first part. Did he say about the first part? Taking what between the legs?
Let me ask him one more time, because I couldn't understand either. Hold on one second, please.
요거 마스터께서 자유스타일로 생각을 흘려보내라 그렇게 말씀하셨거든요. 나의 생각을 두 다리 사이로 칼칼 흘려보내라 이렇게 말씀하신 들었습니다. 네. 그러니까 두 다리로 버티고 서가지고, 그러니까 두 다리로 내 다리 사이에 겨울이 있다 생각을 하는데, 내가 버티고 서가지고, 거기에 그 겨울에 내 생각을 흘려보내라는 그런 뜻으로 전 들었거든요. 그 생각이 집착을 일으키지 말라는 뜻인 것 같아요. 그 말은 이해를 하겠는데, 어떻게 하면 망명을 일으키지 않는지 그건 모르겠어요. 생각이 일어나는 건 어떻게 처리하는지를 알겠는데 생각을 아예 안 일으킬 수 있는 방법이 있는지 그게 궁금하더라고요. 잘 이해 못하시나요? 네네네. 감사합니다.
So he said he heard from you. You taught him, or he heard that you said, between your legs, let your thoughts flow. He thinks that means do not attach to thoughts. So he said, I think I know what to do when the thoughts arise. But my problem is I don't know how to control false thoughts.
Could you clarify for me, like, let the thoughts flow with the legs? That is unclear. That doesn't make sense.
제가 이야기로는, 그러니까 내가 서 있잖아요. 내가 서 있으면 내 양 다리 사이에 개울이 흐른다 생각을 하고, 나에게 일어나는 생각을 그 개울에 버려라. 그러면 그 생각은 개울을 따라서 흘러갈 거잖아요. 그래서 그 얘기가 곧 그게 어떻게 생각하면 생각이 집착을 받는 거죠. 그게 무념이라고 저는 생각을 하거든요. 무념무상할 때 무념이 그 얘기를 저는 영화 마스터한테 들었어요. 그 얘기. 네. 그래서 너가 법문에 들었어요. 이 법문에. 이 시간에 법문이, 예. 그게 지금 정말 안 되는 것 같아요. 네,
괜찮은 것 같네요.
네.
So during a Dharma talk, I heard you said something about you're standing, and between your two legs, imagine a stream. So you're putting all your thoughts to the stream, and the thoughts are flowing down together with the stream. I understood this part as do not have any attachment. And also I understand this means maybe no thought. So the next question is, how do I manage my false thoughts?
I'm not sure where or when I said that the thoughts like the string that goes down to the legs doesn't sound like Chan instructions at all. But let me explain to you in general instead of trying to clarify what he wants to know. Let me tell you what the general instructions are when you practice Chan, if you will. Okay? When you do Chan, the idea here is to learn new skills so that you reduce your mental processing, reduce thinking. Okay? So normally people think that's why all their attention are focused upon the heads. Okay, in your brain's area. So that's why typically the many Buddhist approaches tend to be focused on the head area. Whether Master YongHua teaching people to look at the tip of the nose, and the nose look at the mouth, and mouth looks at the heart. I don't particularly like those instructions. I personally found that to be nonsense. Okay, but my some people are taught to focus on between the eyebrows. They call it some kind of Buddha eye, whatever, or heavenly eye, whatever. Okay, so many things, and so what we try to do is bring your attention away from the head area, go down to the dandian. Okay, so that has the effect of reducing your thoughts. Okay, reducing your mental processing, reduce thinking, reduce discrimination by focusing on the dandian. Okay, and that's just an expedient to help bring your attention away from the head area. If you focus, you leave all the processing up here, then it's your top heavy. So we try to bring to the attention to your center of gravity, which is the dandian, and so to help you reduce the mental processing. That's the purpose of it. Okay, and in doing so, it helps reduce your thinking a little bit, but also the false thinking, the thoughts still arise. Okay, so that's the second part of his question. He says, how do I deal with these false thoughts? Okay, false thoughts is a jargon that the Chinese like to use, and it's a very important concept. But also, it's misleading to me. When I first started, I kept on hearing these instructors talking about, even like including Master YongHua saying you should reduce your false thinking and do away your false thinking. But to me, it's vague, because from a Western educated person, I'm more inclined to accept things that are clear to me. If you tell me about false thoughts, to me, false thoughts don't mean anything at all. Okay, it's just a jargon that the Buddhists enjoy to use, and I was disappointed that the people who taught me Chan, including Master YongHua, the translation, his teachings, they kept on mentioning false thought, and to me, it's too vague. To me, it's not helpful. Okay. However, it's an important concept. So let me explain to you, since you asked, false thought. False thought is any thinking. Okay, why? It's important to understand for the Chinese patriarch, when you use the word false thought, it's very profound. It's by design. It's based on wisdom. It's a very important concept that we Chan practitioners need to know. However, typical of the Chinese practitioners, the Chinese students of my generation, okay, they really don't understand. It's because they never practiced Chan. They never really understood Chan. That's why they couldn't understand why the patriarch used the word false thought. So they repeated the word false thought, and yet they don't know how it applies to a person like him who says, how do I deal with false thoughts? Okay? It's because they don't know how to deal with false thoughts themselves. Okay, so it's a good question, by the way, and we appreciate the question. It's very important. Please feel free to ask questions, because do not ever assume that your level is too low, that people will laugh at you and people will say, you're wasting our time. Not at all. Trust me, you ask me a question, my answer will incorporate all levels. Okay, that's what we're supposed to do. Okay, and furthermore, the people who are advanced should ask questions as well, because my question will also be my answer would also incorporate the perspectives of the people who are lower or very low as well, because Chan is universal teaching. It's not geared, the instructions are not geared for any particular level. It's designed to help you to go from low to high, okay, and higher, okay, and therefore it's a lot more involved than I care to explain to you. When you become a teacher yourself, then you understand what I mean eventually. But in general, please feel free to ask questions about anything that bothers you. You should not be afraid to ask. Okay. So this false thoughts here is a very important concept, because the false thought is a thought. Any thought that arises, that's a false thought. So the question is very profound. It says, I don't know how to deal with false thoughts. Okay? The false thoughts comes into the concept of false thought is very important. As I said, false thought, because any thought is a false thought. You sit there, any thought that arises is a false thought. And as the name implies, false thoughts, meaning that number one, it's undesirable. It's false. You are a true person. Why are you doing what you're doing with all these false things? Your heart is true. Okay? So you shouldn't be confused by these false things, or whether it's false thought or false words or false feelings, whatever. Anything false is undesirable. So it's a very important thing. Okay? So any thought is undesirable. See how profound the concept is. So it all-encompassing. Whether you're low level, okay, any thought is undesirable. Or you will go to high level, guess what? Any thought is also undesirable. Therein lies, I just give you a tip. Even though you get to a high level, you still have false thoughts, believe it or not. Ask my disciples. Yesterday I spent 20 minutes, and the first 15 minutes is just to warm my disciple up. The last 2 minutes is to tell this person that, you have false thoughts. Okay, but your false thoughts are different from, it is so subtle that you don't pay attention. It's very hard for you to detect it. Okay, but still it's false thought. So yes, you're right. The false thought is something that's undesirable that we need to deal with. And not just you is the answer. At all levels, we have false thoughts. At all levels, it's very difficult to deal with false thoughts. That's a bad news. Good news is that by learning at all levels to deal with false thoughts, that's how you improve. So do not be afraid of false thoughts. Do not be afflicted of false thoughts. They will arise naturally because they are our karmic retributions. The thoughts arise because it's our retributions. There's nothing you can do. So at all levels, including the Buddhas, okay? Because the Buddhas also have, Shakyamuni Buddha, when he's here, he has karmic retributions too. Okay, the thoughts will arise. That's the nature of retribution. So they arise. So how do you deal with them? Number one, don't be afflicted. Accept the fact they will arise. Because it's our retribution, our karmic retributions. Okay, that's natural. Number two, they arise. The first thought they arise, that's natural. You learn Chan in order to let that thought arise and die and do nothing. That's what Chan is about. Do nothing. So you learn to do nothing, which is extremely difficult. The non-Buddhists, the people who don't understand Chan, they say, what are these people doing? They sit there all day and they do nothing at all. And that's the hardest thing that anyone can possibly do, besides chasing after your own son. Okay? So that's part of at your level, or the gentleman who posed this question. It's difficult to deal with certain types of thoughts that will arise, and through this practice, if he hangs in there, yes, it's frustrating. They keep on arising, and they sometimes seem overwhelming, and so forth. If you hang in there long enough, okay, you will naturally learn how to deal with those thoughts, or will be taught how to deal with those thoughts. Give you an example. I have a Korean disciple who's bipolar, extreme bipolar, and she too difficult to handle in Korea, so they sent her to Wei Mountain Temple to participate in the cheese. And bipolar people, they throw tantrums. They one day they love you, next day they hate you. Not even a day. Sometimes within 5 minutes. Okay, they're totally unpredictable. And so those crazy thoughts arise, the tantrums and the depression and so forth, they arise. And the mere fact of not quitting, of hanging in there, help her learn to bring those thoughts in control. Okay, and especially the environment of our temples. It makes it a lot easier if it were for you to do at home. It's a huge difference, I assure you. So all those false thoughts, the coarse thoughts of quitting, the coarse thoughts of anger, the coarse thoughts of throwing at tantrums, they became fewer and fewer as time goes along. You go through the environment, you go through the process of doing a qi, it will die down. So meaning that the skills of developing those types, how to deal with those types of coarse false thoughts, naturally occurred. That's why she was able to survive. And then one funny thing is that she thinks highly of herself, unlike most of you. Okay? And so one thing that she's obsessed about is that you got to teach me. You don't teach me, I will quit. I will leave. Okay, and so she said, I could take anything, but you have to teach me. What is that? That's a false thought, isn't it? The false thought happens to her 24 hours a day. She sits there and says, is he going to teach me today? Okay. And she was doing meditation. Is he going to teach me today or not? And the next day she said, he hasn't taught me yet. When is he going to teach me? I don't have time. I need to become enlightened. Okay. Time is of the essence. And so this thought here, okay, keeps on arising day after day, many times a day, and many times a minute, and so forth. And she would throw tantrums, demanding to be taught, and we didn't do anything. We just, okay. And so we bored ourselves, so that's how we dealt with her false thought. You see that? It's not just you, but we too have to learn how to deal with false thoughts. Just because you have a false thought does not mean that I have to react to it. So your false thoughts actually helping train me as well. Is that clear? We all have to learn to deal with false thoughts. At my level, more your false thoughts than mine. All right? So we all have to deal with false thoughts. The point here is that she hung in there, and she threw tantrum. Doesn't matter, she threw tantrum. She wants to quit. I said, oh, well, quit. You can quit. What do I care? I don't know. You're not my daughter. What do I care? She says, I want to be your concubine. I said, I don't want you a concubine. So it doesn't matter, okay? But the funny thing is that all this time here, if the one thought there is this obsession, you need to teach me, I need to be taught, otherwise I'm going to waste my life, waste my time. You don't teach me, I'm going to go find someone else who's going to teach me, and so forth. And guess what? The whole time, I refuse to teach her. You say, you quit. But let me tell you, you go back. Who's going to help you with your tantrums? So just, you can quit, you can go and look anyway, but do not burn bridges, because there will be a time when you have these crises and these tantrums and no one can help you. Remember, in the back, the one place that's safe for you is Ju Mountain Temple, our way place in Korea. The only place is safe for you where you got help. Just don't burn that bridge. That's all we explained to her. Okay? So eventually, but we didn't teach her at all. She demanded to be taught, she demanded to be trained. No. This is a free class. Meaning I teach you or train you when I feel like, not when you want me to teach you. Okay. Maybe when you pay me, then I think differently. So anyway, so after all this time here, after the last couple of years, funny thing happened. She stopped asking to be taught. You see that? If you hang around long enough, magic happens. You learn to deal with your false thoughts, especially the ones that really bother you. So what is the short answer to your question? How do you deal with false thoughts? Hang in there and good luck. Okay? You don't quit, and you keep up with the practice. All these practices, okay, are designed to help you deal with your false thoughts. That's what Chan is. Chan is to deal, is to develop, help you develop the skills to deal with your false thoughts. Period. Okay? Good question. All right, I have a few more minutes. YongHua, go ahead. You.
네, 마스터 고맙습니다. 그 법문을 이제 가족들과 함께 와이프가 듣고 있었는데요. 이제 와이프 오늘 생일인데 방금 전에 이제 망상과 생각에 대한 말씀을 드리면서 와이프가 내가 또 때문에 이렇게 고민과 생각이 많았구나 이렇게 딱 어떤 일종의 본인의 어떤 깨침의 얘기를 하더라고요. 내가 오빠 때문에 생각을 이렇게 많이 했구나 하면서 그 다음 또 네네 본인의 업보 때문에 올라왔구나 하면서 직접 본인이 이렇게 되뇌이면서 얘기를 하더라고요, 와이프가. 그런데 이제 그 다음에 또 한 생각이 또 올라온 게 저한테 이제 근데 생각을 안 하고 이 세간에서 어떻게 살아갈 수 있지? 가끔 고민도 하고 가령 아이 어떤 학원에 보내야 될지 어떤 치료에 보내야 될지 이런 판단과 생각을 하고 해야 되는데 이런 생각을 안 하고 세간을 어떻게 살아갈 수 있지? 그렇게 저한테 물어보는 거예요. 그래서 제가 이거 왜 나한테 묻냐? 마스터한테 너가 여쭤봐라. 이렇게 지금 얘기를 했습니다. 그래서 근데 좀 수줍어해서 제가 좀 마스터한테 좀 대신 여쭙고 싶습니다. 그 와이프가 그러니까 생각을 안 하고 세간을 어떻게 살아가느냐? 이게 이제 와이프 질문이고요. 이제 두 번째는 제 질문인데, 네네.
Master, I have two questions. Number one is from my wife. She's a bit shy, so she couldn't ask you directly. So I'm asking these questions for you behalf of her. Our family was listening to Dharma talk, and 부인 생일이라고 그랬죠?
예, 맞습니다. 네네.
Today is my wife's birthday, and then when she also heard about that false thoughts, and she said, "Oh, I found out that why I have so many false thoughts. It's from the karmic obstruction." And she said that to me. And the next thought that arose, and then she was asking me, was, if I'm not thinking, how can I live a comfortable life in Saha world? For example, I need to make decisions for my children, which school they need to go, what they need to do. But without the thinking, how can I take care of my children? That's the first question from him.
Okay.
But he has a second question.
Okay, let me answer the first question quickly. Okay, very easy. Chan is about learning to not think. Okay, develop the skills not to think. Okay, meaning that a skill, meaning that you can use a skill when it's necessary. Then you use it. It's not necessary, don't use it. Okay, so that means that at her level, absolutely. If she learns Chan meditation, she develops the skills not to think. However, the times when she must think, like at work, she's paid to think. When at home, she's there to think right, otherwise she cooks the wrong stuff. Okay, that's necessary. So the point here is that think what's necessary, and you learn to develop the skills not to think when you don't have to. That's Chan. Okay, at first, and eventually, when you get to the advanced levels, then actually there's a different kind of thinking that's called true thinking. That's incredible. That's wisdom. Okay, so meaning that you can go through life and not think at all. Did not think the same way you do. Okay, and so that's quite advanced levels. Okay, so you see, at low levels, We learn not to think at short intervals of time, okay? Meaning that when we don't have to think, we can use our skills not to think. Okay? So you have a choice. Because typically, ordinary people cannot help themselves. They think constantly. I used to think, the moment I got up in the morning until I went to bed, it's thinking nonstop all day. Whereas if you learn to stop thinking, okay, when you're driving, you're at the red light, stop. And stop, and wait for the light to turn green. During that wait there, you can not think and rest, like with your car, okay? So that it's less wear and tear in your mind. That's immediate benefit right there. It's just like less wear and tear on your car engine when it has a brake. Second question.
두 번째 질문은 시간 관계상 다음에 하겠습니다. 시간을 뺏을 것 같아가지고요. 다음에 질문 드리도록 하겠습니다. 시간이 다 된 것 같아요.
I think I'm going to ask next time, next session, Master, because we don't have only a few minutes left.
Okay. You don't have a few minutes left, you're wrong. We have no minutes left. But thank you, you're very considerate. Okay. Would you like to ask next time? You can ask right now. I'm sure, we have nothing to do here in San Jose.
얼마 전에 말씀드리겠습니다. 이틀 전에 그냥 소박한 체험이 있었어요. 제가 산책을 하는데 이제 뭐가 되게 먹고 싶은 거예요. 이제 밤에 올라왔는데 별일 아니죠. 그래서 뭐 먹어야 되겠다 이런 생각이 올라와서 과자 스낵을 이제 먹어야겠다는 생각이 좀 올라왔는데 마스터 법문을 이제 6조 당령 법문을 이제 들으면서 산책을 하기 시작했어요. 그러니까 먹고 싶은 어떤 식탐 자체가 이제 결과보다를 하지 않고 그냥 산책을 하면서 그냥 편하게 이제 영어 원문으로 된 법문을 들었는데 자연스럽게 이제 그런 어떤 크레이빙이 이제 좀 감소되는 거를 이제 느꼈거든요. 그래서 제가 여쭤보자 하는 거는 상황이 안 돼서 어떤 산책을 하거나 이제 드라이빙을 하면서 마스터나 어떤 그런 선화상인님의 어떤 법문을 그렇게 듣게 되면 그거 자체도 어떻게 보면 이제 좋은 어떤 생각을 끄는데 도움을 줄 수 있는 건지 그거에 대해서 좀 여쭈고 싶었습니다. 이제 간단하게 제 체험담을 얘기를 하면서요. 그거 자체도 이제 생각을 끄는데 도움이 될 수 있지는 않나 해서 여쭈고 싶습니다.
So, Master, I'd like to explain a small experience that I had 2 days ago. So I was sitting, and then suddenly this thought arose: I want to eat, and then I said I should eat something. But then after that, I went for a walk. At the same time, I was listening to six patriarchs sutra teaching in English. And then after I was listening and walking. At the same time, I realized my craving of that, like to eat, want to eat something, is actually decreased. So my question is, if we walk or driving, for example, we listen to Great Master Shenhua or your Dharma talk, is that a good way to decrease our this kind of thoughts also?
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. This is why people in the Pure Land, Amitabha's Pure Land, they are fed the Dharma 24 hours a day. It helps them decrease these types of false thoughts, if you will. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time.